The movie starts with Vada brushing her teeth while almost half asleep, getting ready for school. She hears her mom yelling at her to hurry up. After that, Vada takes a shower and then makes a quick breakfast while waiting for her friend Nick, who always drives her to school. Once in class, we see that Vada is a very smart girl. She participates in class and has been living a pretty normal life up to that point. This is when she receives some messages from her little sister saying to call her quickly because she used the code 911, which she used for emergencies. Vada asks the teacher for permission and quickly leaves the classroom to call her sister. "Are you okay?" she asks, but the little girl is too embarrassed to say what's wrong. She tells her that she just got her period. At first, Vada gets upset because she thinks it's something more serious, but in the end, she asks if she has everything she needs, to which Amelia replies that she does, since she had stolen some of Vada's pads a few months ago. Vada tells her that they will go out for dinner that night to talk about everything, to which Amelia agrees, and they finally hang up. After that, Vada decides to go to the bathroom, and that's when she runs into Mia, the most popular girl in school, who is putting on makeup for picture day. Vada goes into one of the stalls and starts texting Nick that she just saw Mia and they make jokes about her. Then she comes out to wash her hands, still thinking about how beautiful Mia is. Vada tells her that she doesn't need makeup, which makes Mia blush, but this sweet moment is overshadowed when they hear a loud noise. Without hesitation, Vada grabs Mia's hand and they run to hide in one of the bathroom stalls. They crouch there, on top of the toilet, to avoid showing their feet, and begin to experience the 6 longest minutes of their lives. All they can hear are gunshots and screams. The girls cry desperately, thinking that this might be their last day alive. That's when Vada takes out her phone and writes a message to someone very important in her life. After a few seconds, the gunshots stop and they think it's all over, but they hear the bathroom door open and someone rushes in to hide in the stall next to them. Mia drops her earring and it makes a noise. Vada tells him to slide under the stalls to where they are, and they see that the boy is covered in blood. Vada asks him if he was shot, and he tells her it's his brother's blood. Just seconds later, they hear the police sirens arriving at the school to stop the shooter, who they eventually end up shooting. Back home after the shooting, Vada is still in shock. She tries to hide in her room, but her family is trying to talk to her, especially her sister Amelia, who keeps asking questions. Later that same day, Vada takes a bath and tries to sleep, but she is still very scared and knows that this won't get better anytime soon. While she's in bed, she receives a notification on her phone, decides to check it, and realizes that Mia has started following her on Instagram. Plus, she sends her a message with her phone number. Vada texts Mia, who is also still in disbelief about what happened and wants to know how Vada is feeling. The girls exchange messages asking how they are doing, and they also talk about Quentin's brother, the boy who was with them in the bathroom, who unfortunately Mia finds out has died. Vada asks if she's okay, and Mia replies that she is, and if she needs a quiet place to be, she can come over to her house. The next morning, Vada wakes up scared. She had dreamed about the shooting and needed some distraction, so she decides to ask her mom to take her to her friend Nick's house. While there, she tells him how she experienced the shooting, how at first she thought it was a drill and then realized it was all real. That's when she starts questioning everything and feels that she survived for a reason, to make some change so that these situations won't happen again. On the way back home with her family, Vada can't stop watching videos on Instagram about Mia, which intrigue her because she feels a connection with her. That's why she decides to send her a message to visit her, and finally, the girls see each other after the incident. When Mia arrives, she offers Vada something to drink, and Vada starts walking around the house, telling her how great the vibe feels inside and all the artwork that decorates it. Mia tells her that her parents are artists and that's why they are always traveling. Besides blushing when she heard Vada say she hadn't stopped watching her dance videos, since she was a great dancer, Mia, however, couldn't avoid talking about the incident. So Vada asks her if she's been having nightmares. She replies that you have to be able to sleep to have nightmares, which means Mia hadn't slept since then. That day, the girls decide to go together to Quentin's brother's funeral, which would be the next day, and he was really happy to see them there. After that, Vada began attending the funerals of all the victims, which were actually several, but she still couldn't move on with her life, and her anxiety was getting stronger. Because of this, many times, and without meaning to, she ended up ignoring her little sister Amelia, who kept trying to find ways to get close to her, always getting a no in response, just like her friend Nick. The reality is that Vada would prefer to spend more time with Mia. She felt they understood each other and could talk more openly since they had both gone through the same thing. That afternoon, the girls decided to spend time together watching TV and eating something, and they started to talk a bit more about themselves. As night fell, the girls were watching videos, but Mia fell asleep. Vada tried to leave to let her sleep, but for some reason, Mia wanted her close. She asked if she could stay, and finally, they both managed to sleep, something they hadn't done since the incident. On the way home, Vada called her friend Nick, whom she had stood up by not going to his march, and apologized to him, but Nick told her not to worry. The next day, Nick called Vada and encouraged her to go back to school, but Vada, even after 2 weeks, didn't feel well or safe enough to return, so she ended up refusing. Her mother overheard this conversation and decided to talk to her to say that she could stay home as long as she wanted, but on the condition that she had to go to therapy. Vada agreed and attended therapy, although she still couldn't talk about her feelings and only made awkward jokes to avoid discussing the incident. After this, the psychologist gave her the task of writing on some sheets how she felt, and they would review it in the next therapy session. Later that day, Vada received a message from Quentin thanking her for going to his brother's funeral. He asked her out, and they met at a restaurant. Quentin was very quiet, so Vada tried to make him feel better with a hug. After seeing Quentin, Vada went to Mia's house to watch an interview with Nick on the news, as his movement for gun-free schools was growing, and he was starting to find his purpose for surviving. However, the girls decided to distract themselves by spending a day at the pool, smoking weed, and having fun. Later that day, Vada was at home, and her mother tried to talk to her about going back to school, but Vada was still in denial. Her mother told her that she didn't want her schoolwork to fall behind and that everything would be easier if she decided to return to her normal life. To get out of this situation, Vada decided to tell her mother that her sister had gotten her period, leaving her surprised and with more questions about Amelia. Despite refusing many times, Vada decided to go back to school, where there were new security measures, and her fear was so great that even hearing someone step on a soda can make her wet herself. The next day, Vada decides to go with a guy who sells drugs to buy something that will help her not feel so scared at school. Vada takes one of those substances and starts a pretty intense trip, so much so that she ends up eating the ink from a pen and nearly passes out on the school stairs. She asks Nick for help to take her home. After taking a nap, Vada gets a call from Quentin, to whom she had sent a message while she was on that trip. They both start laughing about everything Vada said in the message. And to distract herself, Vada invites him to watch a movie. The kids spend the afternoon watching one, while Amelia teases her because she thinks Quentin is Vada's boyfriend. But he has to leave because there's an emergency at his house. That night, Vada visits Mia, and they start talking about whether they've had their first time with a guy, to which both say no, especially Vada, who says she feels weird and embarrassed about everything, and that she would wait until college. But Mia just replies that she wants to wait until she's in love. That night, the girls go out for drinks and continue using substances before heading back home. Vada notices that Mia seems thoughtful and asks her what's on her mind. Mia tells her she can't say, and after exchanging glances, they end up kissing and spending the night together. The next day, while Mia is sleeping, Vada goes back home, where her family is very worried about her since she hadn't told them where she was. The girl gets upset and goes to her room, where her mother asks if she's dating a guy. Vada tells her no, that she was just with a friend and they had some drinks. After this, Vada visits Nick, who is also very worried and angry with her because the last time he saw her, she was high and suddenly disappeared, so he thought something bad had happened to her. Vada just tells him she's dealing with everything in her own way. After a small argument, Vada decides to leave, so she looks for Quentin to vent. He listens to her and gives her advice, and they even start talking about what Quentin's brother was like. He tells her that many people don't dare to ask him about him because they think he'll cry, to which Vada replies that he can always talk to her, and suddenly she kisses him. Quentin kisses her back, but he tells her he's not ready for a relationship at that moment. Vada, filled with embarrassment, gets out of the car and receives a message from Mia, asking if she's mad at her, which Vada ignores. Later that night, while Vada tries to sleep, her little sister comes into her room saying she can't sleep and starts telling her that she's scared a shooter will come to her school, feeling guilty for having called Vada since she could have died being in the hallway. Vada tells her it's not her fault because no place is safe. Vada realizes that day she thought she would die and only had the chance to send one message, which is why she sent it to her favorite person in the world, and she would have given her life for her. The next day, she goes for a walk with her dad, with whom she hadn't been able to talk since the incident. Seeing that his daughter still felt something bothering her, he asks her to vent together about their fears. After all, Vada finally decides to talk to Mia. Vada tells her she doesn't regret anything that happened between them and that she was just scared of ruining their friendship, something they both agree not to do. Back in therapy, Vada feels more comfortable talking about what happened. She shares how she doesn't feel comfortable being at school and how everyone, including her friend Nick, has been able to do amazing things because of it, unlike her, who was angry because she didn't feel there was a specific reason for her to survive. Vada goes home and apologizes to her mom for acting so badly towards her, also telling her that she got high and had her first time with a girl. In the final scene, we see a much happier Vada going to find Mia at her dance classes, sending a picture of herself in the parking lot, to which Mia replies that they'll see each other in a few minutes. Right after that, she notices a new notification, but this time it's about another shooting at a school, leaving it to the imagination whether it was at her sister's school or if it happened again at her own school.